Yes, my name is Guyo Malich Robba. I work with the International Livestock Research Institute. I'm heading a research program called Jameel Observatory for Food Security Early Action, which is an international partnership that brought together the University of Edinburgh, ILRI, which is the host, Save the Children UK, JPAL, which is Jameel Poverty Action Lab, and then Community Jameel, which is our donor and our investment partner. So the research is largely couched on the question of drought responses. Why we're approaching drought responses in the same reactive approaches? Can't we have an agenda and a research agenda around what you call anticipatory action? Because drought cycles are very discernible. And the question is, if we have clear, discernible, drought cycle patterns, why can't we use the early warning and advancement in early warning to prepare our resources, our financing, our systems to respond to shock? So, and this research is based in the region. It covers Kenya and Somalia and partly now Ethiopia. And here we have a number of PhD students who are working on these questions around data for effective early action, financing effective early action, coordinating effective early actions, trust in data, and then local level early warning, and how do you integrate that local level responses to this? Mm-hmm. Yep. I think that the challenge facing dryland communities are multi-level. The first is the question of land fragmentation. Land tenure issue is a big issue in different parts with different levels of intensities of the issue. Because traditionally pastoral areas are seen as wasteland, open land, marginal areas, and a number of things, resource rush, mega infrastructures, mining, and all this kind of economic operations tend to rush it to this area where land are communal and land tenures are weak. Number two, I think, is on the core livelihood, which is livestock system, livestock production, is really increasingly threatened by climate change, particularly drought and occasionally by flood. So in this boom-bust cycle of dryland areas, you are always in one extreme or the other extreme of trying to solve a problem for the community. The third, I think, is the positioning of the pastoralists and the pastoral economy in the national economic agenda. Always the narrative is that the pastoral areas are areas of limited economic potential with minimal contribution to the national GDP, and by that fact, the narrative places, resource budgeting and advancing resources to these areas at the lowest level. So by that, it's an area which is relatively marginalized, not well connected in terms of national infrastructure, not well connected to the market, and all the issues that a prosperous societies would have. We're still struggling to get to the level that we can get a reasonable market, connected, less transaction cost. All these things, we're still dealing with it up to now. So our research in the context of the drought and drought responses is questioning this response, because for 50 years, in Kenya, for instance, we've been responding to drought in a very reactive way. And yet, the early warning, thanks to investment by different people, has been advancing, I think, fairly accurate. It's not 100% accurate, but then it's fairly accurate. We're not enjoying the dividend of that early warning, improvement in early warning, accuracy of the data. We are not using that for action, to have an early action. So our action is always a step behind that, for two reasons. One, because we have this reactive approach to respond to drought, we hardly resource our officers that deal with disaster, officers that deal with drought responses, and etc., to a level that they have enough technical manpower, enough financial power to respond and implement projects that will going to improve the resilience of the people in the face of evolving or protracted shocks. So this is very important research, and we have a number of PhD students looking at the data question, some looking at the financing question, others looking at the traditional early warning, and how can we integrate into the contemporary early warning. So really, is an interesting research area that, and I think hopefully some of the finding will going to shape some of the policy conversation, and then also some of the practice that we see around. So if you work in dryland space, everybody who works there, government, other practitioners will always talk about capacity as a big issue. Sometimes you get into government offices where the person who is actually making very important strategic decision has very bad framing of where they sit. And that bad framing influences how you plan, how you allocate resources, and how do you respond. So, and this is at multiple levels wherever you go. So somehow, in collaboration with CRDD, Tufts University, Australian Centre for International Agricultural Research, this and Jameel Observatory, we are in conversation for almost 2 years, and we say, I think we need to collaborate at 3 levels. 1, in the research arena; 2, policy convening, suitable policy dialogue together; and 3rd, on this capacity development, this CapDev area. So in the capacity development, at the observatory, we have created and announced and launched something we call Dryland Futures Academy at COP28 in Dubai. And then after that, we have developed educational framework, and one of the arms is to target master's and PhD student with the right training to have a framing around some of the research question. As I said earlier, we have around 6 to 7 PhD students based at the University of Edinburgh, but we feel the summer school, given that it's in the region, will have a potential of bringing more younger people who are either enrolled in master's program or PhD program to benefit from some of our fundamental thinking around dryland capacity. Yep. Yeah, I think for me, the entire dryland space is career-wise very fertile space. And 2, is an area with growing demand for people who understand the system to come and work either in government or to work within NGO, international organization, United Nations, and all research organizations like ILRI and other, CGI centers. So for me, I think the message is they should take advantage of people who actually are on the same platform. They're fairly accomplished people within this summer school. It's rare to give this kind of pupillage, this kind of guidance. So for me, for younger guys who are in this program, to take advantage to shape their thinking, to inform their future research work, and also possibly make a home of career within the dryland in future as they grow, maybe graduate from their master's or PhD program. The space is very open, and we're just beginning within the academy. We haven't actually fully operationalized the academy. We want to bring more people. So I think as the first beneficiary of our grants in supporting half of the cost and financial requirement of the summer school, we're very committed to see those younger people take this seriously, benefit from some of the pupillage, some of the training, and create a community that have a conversation around this issue, but then also a community that will also share opportunities to grow within the dryland. And there are 2 possibilities. One possibility is that we're discussing critical policy issues, although it's a training is very much couched on a very practical policy issues. What we did today, walking through the theory of change in different clusters of problem, from conflict, from budgeting and financing, from the aligning the narrative, having the better framing of dryland and pastoralism within government. To me, I think this forms an important area for someone who wants to make a home of research. So we gave them substantial ideas for this and also for some of our work. So the benefits are 2-way. Somehow, institutions like ours, which are also thinking of research, would have actually benefit from some of the materials that are pushed through different group work to think around some of these issues. But then for the younger, the researchers, the MSc and postdocs, I think some of them are the critical stages of their thinking, either starting their career, PhD work, or middle level. I think they have time to conceptualize and get an idea of what could present a nice policy question. So for me, I didn't have that opportunity when I was doing my PhD. But I think for them, these are things that they can bounce off. And secondly, I think is also the network of trainers that we got. These are living network. So you can bounce back these ideas up until you get to the level that you think you are happy and comfortable taking some of this topic forward. So we have various topic areas. We have an opportunity to build a bigger community. This is my thinking. Like in the emerging careers, young researchers space, this space, we haven't created a strong community. So there's opportunity for building the first foundation and the bedrock for that network, and then build this network as we do future collaboration. It could be summer school. It could be different kind of training. It could be Dryland fellows who come and stay within our institution to learn practically what happened. So we want to grow this up until it becomes a caravan. Yeah, so for the Big Bang project, there are multiple levels of issues. One is the design issue.
Yeah.
Two is the sustainability thinking of that particular project. It has to be plugged to a long-term government processes, government budgeting and programming. So, but I think the other part, the design question is, if you have well-trained, and as part of our aspiration is to have this kind of people, have better framing people who understand the context, then it means will somehow in one or another influence the design. And I think for this kind of younger people or people emerging careers entering this space, I think they have a long way, but they have the first platform to start off. A one-off summer school might not change the entire thing, but it could bring 2-3 very inspired individuals who want to shape their careers and move this forward. So for me, if you have a future collaboration that brings another 30 people, 40 people, that's one part. And as I said, when we are, presenting the Dryland Futures Academy, one of the pathway for us, one of the pillar of the academy, is to work with local universities and regional universities in 3-4 countries to influence the curriculum. So, and that's the big part, that you get to train people in curriculum. And in Kenya, we have University of Nairobi, you have Garissa University, you have Masinde Muliro University of Science, you have Jijiga University in Ethiopia, so, and Borana University in Yabelo and all these places. So that's one level. The other level which we are discussing, which is very interesting maybe for you, is we are discussing MOU with Kenya School of Government to push what we call career progression courses within the Kenya School of Government, so that people at certain level within government must come for this kind of practical courses. So for me, that I think is plugging at the right level and making sure that you do something more sustainable, and you're influencing government staff who are working in food security, agriculture, livestock space. We haven't managed to do that, and I think that would be very exciting if we get it to that level, so that anybody who want to be promoted within the government system, work on food security, livestock economy, must get these courses as a mandatory course. Yep. For the local university, you have 2-level thing. One is to develop a research with embedded student and trainers in, and the second one is to do. I give you an example, Marsabit County where I come from. There are many people who are in the county government who are not gainfully employed. They're in employment, but they're not in employment at the same time. And these are convertible groups. They can be in hundreds and thousands. This group we have in the academy, first 2 courses. One is the massive open online courses, basic introduction to dryland, to pastoralism, or massive open online courses and short online courses. So the massive open online courses and short online courses are for practitioners who don't have time to step out of their work. And so for this group of people, we want to do different curriculum where we could possibly push to the county government and also ask them, for those who are at this level, you have to take these courses. So this collaboration is not fully operationalized, but would be an interesting to reach the lowest point. Yep.